Here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Alex Sigrist, and today I'm back for another Wednesday edition of Alex Uncut. We're here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Korea time, or 8 a.m. New York time, or 5 a.m. I'll put it up here somewhere. But we're going to be doing a question and answer, as we always do. We take 3 questions from the previous week, and then we go ahead and choose one of them to make a long-form answer, and the other 2 I'll do a short-form answer. Basically, I got to give you this impromptu, unprepared, unedited, uncut speech in about 4 to 5 minutes and make it seem like I know more than what I actually know. So with that being said, don't forget, go ahead and leave a comment down below of a question you would like to ask me for the next round of questions for number 9. I think we're on 8 right now, right? So here are the questions for this week as chosen and read out by my good friend Xander. Xander, what you got for me?
Okay, first question from Jenny Miller. If someone narrated your life, who would you want to be the narrator?
Okay.
Second one from Alan Stacy, or Alan Stacy. What tips or tricks have you picked up from your jobs? Good question.
Okay.
And Dimitri Leon, who has had the biggest impact on your life and how?
All right. Nice. Thank you. Shout out to Dimitri. Jenny, great question. I'm going to save it for the end because I feel like it's a shorter one. I'm going to say the same for Dimitri's question as well. So the question that I'm going to be answering today is from Alan, or Alan? Stacy? Alan. Go with Alan. Hey, Alan, what's up? The question today is, what tips and tricks have I learned from my jobs here in Korea? And I'm going to go ahead and start from my jobs here in radio, TV, YouTube, and just freelancing in general. There's a lot of issues with being a freelancer, with being somebody who is kind of putting themselves on the line when it comes to not having job security, as well as just possibly failing big time. You know, having a stable job is something that is really looked highly upon in today's society because, one, you might get pension, you might get healthcare. You pretty much get a better guarantee that you'll be there for over 6 months or a year, as long as you make it past the initial 3-month stage they have it here in Korea. There's a lot of problems with being a freelancer, and it's very difficult if you don't know what you're doing. The first thing I want to talk about is how most people don't know what they're doing. There are so many people in the industry here in Korea, and I'm sure back in the States as well, who don't know what it means to have stability in a freelancer job. That stability comes in the form of having your finances in order. It comes in having opportunities. It comes in your networking. There are so many people here that are making their money kind of under the table when we talk about, teaching English and really doing those jobs that are not related to what you want to do, but they pay the bills. Now, that's not to knock it. That is a very important part of starting off as a freelancer. And let's go ahead and make that tip and trick number 1. In order to do this job, you've got to have that side stream income. You've got to be able to make money while you're interning, while you're getting the guest spots on a radio show or a TV show that aren't coming as often. You've got to have stable income elsewhere, which will lead to tip and trick number 2. You've got to have a plan to get out of that income. For me, it was a big deal when I stopped tutoring. I made sure that I had this plan at the end of, I want to say it was 2017. I might have the years wrong, but I decided end of 2016, early 2017, I do not want to make money off of teaching English. Not because it wasn't good money, not because I didn't enjoy it, it's because that did not fulfill my long-term career aspirations. So having an income is important to start off, but also having a goal that gets you off of that income is vitally important. Now you can do it by just saving money and having like a nice nest egg at the bottom while you're, just building it up so that when you do quit teaching or whatever else you're doing, you're able to go a couple of months without making a full income while you really pursue your job, your career, your passion. But you also need to know that there is a certain amount of money you need to be making in the industry at some point. You need to be making at least an amount to survive, or at least not dip too much into your savings. For me, I made my goal is I want to make as much money as I made as a teacher. When you come to Korea, you make about $2,000 a month plus housing, and they pay for your health insurance, a couple other things like that. So I needed to make about 2.6 million to 2.8 million, or roughly $2,500 for me to be okay with it. There's so much business that goes into being a freelancer. So we talked about the money aspect of that business, but also now we need to talk about the management aspect, because when you are a freelancer, I've really learned that I am my own company. I am my own manager. I control not only my finances, which are very important, but I also control my brand, networking, my image. All of these things have to be under my control. And something I learned is it's hard. It's really stressful, and it takes up a lot of your time when you have your job as a guest spot on these 2 radio shows, full-time on this radio show, once every so often spot on this TV show, but then you have your YouTube channel. You are literally managing tons and tons of parts of your company. So the next thing I learned was absolutely compartmentalization of being able to focus on each individual aspect. If you don't focus on those individual aspects, you lose it. I take a look at my Korean YouTube channel right now. Haven't heard of it? It's because I probably haven't posted more than 1 or 2 videos in the last 4 months. But it's because I haven't been able to set aside time for that channel. Now I have other reasons for that, and I have other goals that I'm trying to pursue with this channel as well as my professional career. But you've really got to be able to manage everything. It's not just time management. It is your career's management, your job's management. Not one job, but multiple jobs. You are a business, and with finances and management of your time and your energy, you've really got to focus and learn what is important, what not to do, what to do, what jobs to take, what jobs not to take. The other thing I learned was the importance of networking. And not just networking, but of course, networking well. One thing I recommend, and you've probably seen it on a few of my videos before, and I think Cedric's talked about it as well, is we just threw ourselves out there for everything. Mika mentioned it in the overtime video recently, that you just have to go out there and go to every event that you are interested in, the field you're related to, and you've got to just go and show up when you're trying to make friends or make connections here in Korea. You do need to do that in the very beginning. So that's the first tip. But the second tip related to networking has to be that then you've got to figure out what events you don't need to go to. You start to realize what events and what activities help you in your career and which ones do not. And as you grow as well, you don't go to generic events anymore. You start going to more specific events. You start going to events with less people that are teaching you a small skill or connecting you to the right people. Those are the events that you start to go to. And as this happens, you are also cutting down your friend circle. It's kind of a bummer in the beginning because I really enjoyed going out and meeting lots of new people. You are cutting down the number of people who are taking your time, who are asking you for help, and who are just saying, hey, help me with my video, and I'll give you really nothing back in equal value or even close to equal value. It's okay to give. It's okay to give advice. It's okay to be a part of the community. But be careful with that one, because people will take your time, and then you don't have time in your schedule, as we talked about before, to get the things done that you needed to get done. The last thing I'll talk about, I'm sure there's a billion things I could talk about here, but just to keep it short, the importance of having the right team. Now, it doesn't have to be a team like a crew where you're always together and you only hang out together, but you've got to have people around you who can help you with certain aspects of whatever you are doing. For example, you might have people who are, in my case, helping me figure out how to use this equipment. I have no idea, or at least I had no idea before we created this studio team. And without them, I would be still dumb in this area. So there's a problem there. If you got to solve it by having the right people around you. But also you have people, of course, for emotional support, who are your friends who know what you're going through. They're in the same industry, and sometimes that overlaps with the people who are in your studio. You also have mentors, people that you look up to and ask questions. You also have people who will look to you as a mentor And that's okay to have too. I mentioned before, some people take up your time but don't really offer much in return. If you are a mentor, you actually get a lot out of it in that you are, one, you are invested in someone else's goals and hopes and aspirations. Two, it reminds you of why you do it, but it also gives you purpose in the industry. You've got to build your team all around. So I know that was kind of a lot of information in a short amount of time, and there's way much more I learned, but hopefully that information is something that whether you're a freelancer in media or whether you're somebody who's a teacher or a business person or an entrepreneur, you can get something out of that. I tried to make it as, widespread as possible so it affects everyone, but this is a lot of the tips and tricks that I learned. It's important to have your finances in order, to view yourself as a business, to view yourself as a brand, someone who needs to network and someone who needs to build a team around them. If there's one line to sum it all up: you are a business, act like it. All right, that's it. Thank you guys for joining me on this week's Alex Uncut. Hopefully that answered the question as best I could. So thank you, Alan, Stacy, for sending that in. We have two more questions. One of them was who would narrate your life? I think that was Jenny. I would have Ryan Reynolds narrate my life because as cool as a voice as I think Morgan Freeman is,
What the hell's going on?
Not a serious human being. Like, I have serious moments, but I try to be a little bit more on the fun, lighthearted side of things. So, although I haven't seen the new Pikachu movie, I feel like that kind of voiceover would be pretty cool. And the other question was from Dimitri. Dimitri's question was, what was it again? Biggest impact. Thank you. I'm going to go with non-family related and just say my professor from university. I mean, he's the reason that, it could be my professor or my roommate. My roommate's the reason that I took this trip with my professor out to Korea, China, and Japan. And that was my senior summer, right before senior year. And because of that, I'm in Korea. And that's a huge thing. I would still be in America living this sort of Stepford life probably had that happened. And here I am in Korea. So shout out to Professor Lee and my roommate in college. That's a big change in my life. You guys know what to do. Of course, leave a question down below. I'd love to answer it next week. If you've already seen the question before but I haven't answered it, go ahead and put it down there. And I'll still probably answer it in a future Alex Uncut. Over time, leave a comment based on what I talked about today because I'm curious as to what you think about it. And of course, as always, make sure to subscribe to get all those videos every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Hope that's going to be the norm. And of course, feed the narcissism. You gotta hit that like button. That's all I got for you today. Hopefully, am I missing something? Probably not. Do the things. Comment, like, subscribe. This was Alex Uncut. As real as it gets.